Hello there guys, it's now Monday the 21st of May and I'm Craig Turner. I run Revival Retro events and I am absolutely knackered. It's the day after the night before. We have now finished up Revival Generation X 2018 and I thought it was time for me to address you all and discuss how the weekend went, give some thanks, tell you how I think it went and discuss any possible future plans as well as any minor incidents or minor issues people may have had and things we could do better, things I thought went well, and go from there. I don't usually do videos. I much prefer to be behind the camera than in front of it, but I feel that this is the best way to communicate things to you. Things don't always come across great in text and they come across much better in person, so I thought it would be wise that I talk to you all this way and give my thanks personally. I think it's a much nicer touch, and I'm going to be sleeping probably for the next 48 hours, so this is the only chance I've got to do it. I know there are a lot of you out there who've been messaging me with regards to my own business and regards to Revival itself. If you want to speak to me, by all means you can do, but you'll have to wait until I tidy myself up. The first thing I should get out of the way, a lot of people were asking what happened with me on Saturday the 19th. Basically, I'm a stroke survivor, and 11 years ago I had rather severe stroke, and I've been pushing it a little bit hard in the run to this event. I wasn't eating properly, I wasn't sleeping properly, and on the afternoon where I was filming Games Animal TV, I actually collapsed slightly, going a bit faint, and I twisted my knee and my ankle, which has been completely swollen up and given me some serious pain all weekend. So I was nursing that basically. It's been an extremely difficult weekend to get through without some painkillers and things like that, but I am okay, I'm not dying, and I'm going to be resting up to try and heal that up before I continue doing anything else. In fact, I have to take quite a lot of time out right now to do some personal things and see to some other things, so you won't see a lot of me on social media like you usually do until I correct some things in my own life and sort out my health. So that's what's going on. Anybody who's not met me before, that's an explanation of what was going on. So moving straight on, there's a few things I want to cover. The first thing is a nice one. I am a gamer. I do like to collect, and I always go around and take a look around our event to see what there is to buy, what there is to collect. So I'm just going to cut over now and show you what it is that I picked up at this year's event. So I just want to take a moment to talk about my pickups. A lot of people know that I'm not exactly a software collector, so as much as a lot of you out there like to rummage around and find those elusive games, I'm more about certain collectibles and hardware. Now, in recent years I've picked up such awesome things at the event, such as my Sharp SF1, I got my Panasonic Q last year. This year I didn't get as much chance to walk around as I usually do, but thankfully I've been able to grab a few things which I'm going to treasure forever. First of all is one of the most obvious. This is a Sword M5. A lot of people don't know what that is. A Sword M5 is one of the 80s micros, which I believe came out only in Japan, I think. And Alan's Japan Retro Gaming Sales apparently had this, and he'd had it for a couple of years and was struggling to sell it because he bought in for somebody specially who then decided they didn't want it, which is a damn shame. And you can see the price marked up in there was £250. This is the better model of it from what I understand from Simon Hardy, and I got this for the absolute bargain price of £100, so I'm extremely pleased to be adding that to my collection. The box is in pretty decent nick for what it is, and the system itself is in very good condition. It even includes a couple of game cartridges, including Bosconian, so that's nice and handy. At some point I'll be finding some kind of flash solution for this. Moving over, again, not exactly bought pickups, but here you can see I have a copy of Ukulele PC Edition, which has been signed by Kev Bayliss, Hamish Lockwood, and a couple of the other Platonic team. It's one of the leftovers from the original Kickstarter, I do believe, and I managed to get it up on the raffle. We always take place in our own raffles anyway, and I managed to get that on the raffle. What was also kindly donated as well was one of the leftover t-shirts, which will be getting framed up and will look really, really good, I would imagine, up on my wall. As well as that, you can see there I've got an excellent t-shirt from Retro GT. Lawrence, of course, one of our main sponsors, he was there and he kindly did me a great deal on this. My wife picked up a t-shirt and got this one for myself, and they're such high quality. There's always apparel vendors at events, but Lawrence's are certainly some of the best, and I hope some of you bought from him this weekend. Over on the end here, you can see I also got a Games Animal t-shirt. These are the ones that Dave Perry's had made up to celebrate the fact that we're starting up the Games Animal TV project. He's still got some more of these for sale. If you want to go to him directly, you can pick up one of these yourself for £20. The only other way to obtain one at the moment is if you were to win any of the competitions we were doing, but nobody did. And of course, down here we have the Games Animal golden bandanas made up. So I've kept one of those for myself. Nobody actually beat the Games Animal champions to earn one of these this time, but our pro player Andy Monkey Leg Slater did get one in celebration of the fact that he absolutely trounced a huge series of people over the weekend at Street Fighter. The man was just unbeatable. But pretty soon we'll be looking at doing some new challenges for Games Animal TV. The final edit of that will be coming soon, but I'll talk more about that later. So that's my own personal version there. And very kindly, it was nice to see John and Brenda turn up again for the first time since 2014 at the event. They did very well selling John's book, Masters of Doom. I say John's book, actually authored by David Kushner, but obviously entirely with the assistance of John. They were selling the books there, and they very kindly signed up and left a little note in there for me as a gift for allowing them to come to the event and do their thing. So I thought that was very nice of them. I know a lot of people have had a lot more pickups. I also got some extra taiko drums from Rich Tewkesbury. It wasn't just Retro Dirt he has some brilliant stuff, and I'm sure I'll be going back through and revisiting some of our traders to pick up some more stuff from them soon. With regard to the event itself, I personally feel that it went incredibly well. Whenever we do these events, we do them not only for ourselves, but we do them for like-minded gamers. We don't hold these events to just get people in off the street and make money. People know that we're an independent event, and since year one we've only ever made them for people like us, other gamers, other enthusiasts and casual people to come and enjoy a little bit of nostalgia. So a lot of thought goes into the events, and when everything's said and done, we always come back and we take a look at people's photos and comments and footage, and we look at what we've done well and what we could do better. But the good news is that from what I've seen, overwhelmingly there has been a huge response to this. About 50% of our audience there does tend to be regulars, and the regulars are the best judge of people to gauge as to whether the event is doing well. And I've heard comments this year which I've been waiting to hear for many years, which is that a lot of people have felt that we are the best event they've ever been to, that this was our best ever event, and it's certainly the event of 2018. It's a shame some of you will have missed it. I know some regulars have other commitments and things like that. But even if you're just a member of the public who's been for the first time, or an enthusiast who's been for the first time, I can see from the comments that on the whole you generally enjoyed it, and I'm really pleased about that. I will be looking and liking everybody's videos, and if you do have photos or videos or anything waiting to be uploaded, please share them on the Revival Generation X 2018 event thread, not the Revival page. If you put them all on the event thread, it allows us to document everything well, it allows us to keep a record of what's gone on, and if we need to refer other people or ourselves back to things we've done in the past, we can point them to one page and everybody knows where it is. We know where to get videos and things like that and comments. So I'm going to flash up a few people's comments while I'm talking about this, and hopefully yours will make the cut. It shows that everybody was in very high spirits, everybody was enjoying themselves. You can tell that the comments about the atmosphere, again, is one of those things that people, you know, people really come to our events for, and it's a thing we try so hard to do. It's so very hard to describe to other people, But when you arrive and you get there for the first time, you instantly know. People would comment the minute they walk in the door saying there's something about this event, and I don't know what it is, but it's there. And it's a combination of things, a combination of the people involved, the people visiting, the way we structure the floor plan, the type of exhibits we got, and the ambience we try to create. We don't always get it exactly right or exactly how we picture in our heads, but we do try our hardest, and I hopefully you will get the idea that we are genuine gamers. We do care about what we put out, and we always view the event the way we would coming into an event for the first time. It's got a very family feel, not just a community feel, because my family form the majority of the staffing for it, and they work extremely hard to bring you what you need, and obviously pushes some of us to breaking point sometimes, as you've seen with my health this time. But I want to thank everyone for their comments so far, and hopefully you'll continue to post them up and continue to come to the events. So moving on to let's address a couple of issues first that we know we need to look at with regards to slight issues that people had, and not necessarily with the event itself, but with the way we did things this time. First of all, I just want to say, being an independent event, everybody probably get the idea that although we handle ourselves fairly professionally, we are very independent. Our team is not large. Our core team involves about 10 people. Our extended team up to about 25 people. When you run an event for several thousand people, you can kind of see how it can stretch us a little far. We don't have any fixed sponsors. We don't have any corporate funding. We rely on the sponsors from our traders, friends, partners, things like that, as well as it's entirely the money out of our own pockets. So we operate to a budget, but we try and give you that big event experience on a shoestring. So if anything's gone amiss that you might have seen at bigger exhibitions or expos, that is the reason why, and hopefully people will understand that. Even though we do that, we try and keep our ticket prices to a level which I think everybody would agree was fair for what you get to see, the amount you get to enjoy. And a lot of people have asked what the attendance was like this time. Well, we've run the numbers, and in total head count, this is including guests, staff, traders, friends of the event, people we've invited to come along and check it out, press passes, things like that. Over the weekend, there were probably up to 2,500 people at that event. Certainly in excess of 2,000 at the first count that we did. It's the biggest event we've ever done. It's the highest floor count for one day we've ever had. And although it doesn't sound like much in comparison to the large exhibitions like the NEC and that, you've got to appreciate the size of the venues we're dealing with here. And we are still definitely the biggest dedicated retro gaming event in the country. And I think this is about the limit we will go to. But the good thing is we will always try and keep it fresh. We'll mix up that formula, and we will try and bring more things of appeal, because we've certainly got room to cram some more people into those rooms, especially during the quiet days like the Sundays. But the Sunday turnout was pleasing this time because we've got the two rooms, people spread out more. The traders were certainly very happy. If you are a trader and wondering what these events are like, speak to some of your acquaintances on the scene. They will tell you it's not about footfall. It's a lot of the traders spoke to us, came for the first time, and spoke to me personally and said, I get it now. I do get it now. And the bottom line is, if people are having a good time, people are enjoying themselves, they will spend more. People are in a good mood. They want to buy things, want to take things home, and we always try and make the layout very appealing to the eye, and also very smart, in that you will always get a crowd flow past your stalls and things like that. People like the traders we had. We tried a few new things this year. I haven't got enough feedback yet to find out what people thought of the traders or anything like that, but I do know we keep our prices low for the pitches, which means they can pass that saving into the way they price their games and everything to you. So hopefully some of you have picked up some brilliant bargains. I know the trader turnover was certainly as high as they wanted, and so far we haven't had one single complaint from a trader. Everybody has done well. The goods on offer were fantastic. We had everything ranging from early stuff and micros to collectibles, to apparel, to accessories, to ornaments, right up to the collector's stuff, you know, import consoles, import games, rarities and things like that I love to see. It really is. It's not a market format, but it's certainly a collector's fair. If you're a hardcore gamer and you want to find the best stuff, the traders will always bring it to our events because they know that every person in there is a real gamer. They're not just a casual person off the street. So if you are thinking about trading, you can certainly come and think about doing that in the future. With regards to the venue itself, now the venue itself, people are big fans of the venue. Its location is perfect, it's certainly accessible. They make a lot of concessions to give us what we need to help the event run. They have had a few issues this year compared to the last 2 years, which I will be taking up with them, not least of which we had a slight problem logistically in that one of the lifts which gets our equipment, up to the first floor failed just before the event. So we were restricted to one lift to get 120 machines and a hell of a lot of trade equipment, consoles and everything up to the first floor. But we took an extra day on setup and we made it work, and we managed to get everything in there we needed to. It stretched our staff a little thin, but it totally worked, and I'm sure everyone will agree. As far as the venue goes, the parking's very agreeable, it's very accessible from the motorway, from the train station, however you get in there. And on the whole, the venue itself is very clean, very well decorated, and the layout is all good. You're all on one floor once you get in there. Now, I'm aware there's a little bit of confusion with regards to the event itself. There's a few comments that some people weren't aware that there was a second room. They weren't aware that that's where the talks room was. We've had the floor plan pretty much up from day one, and we've been pushing the fact that the event was double size since day one. So I apologise if you did miss it. However, if there's one thing I've learned about events since day one, it's that not everyone gets caught up in the excitement, and they don't always pay attention to the text or the terms that might be on tickets and things like that as much as they perhaps should do. So we would just ask that you check your details thoroughly, because we're not always available to answer direct questions just prior to an event. But most of the information people said they didn't have has certainly been put out there a lot since day one. It's something we make a point of because we treat the experience from a visitor's eye, so we know what you'll be looking for. We would like to have some bigger signs and bigger banner advertising and things like that. However, there were a few issues with banners and arrival and timings and things like that and getting printing done. We did the best with what we had, and obviously most people found everything because of all the footage we've seen. Everybody experienced both rooms and got to see most of it. There were two separate halls, which are, if anyone hasn't been before, which were linked by a ramped hallway between, and then the talks were down in the furthest suite down. We literally took all of their event space. There is no upstairs, there is no downstairs, it's all on the first floor, and it should have been accessible for all, but I can understand at the busiest times how people who haven't been there before might get a little bit confused. We'll try and address that next time. We have looked at it since, and we will try and address that for you next time. Second thing was regarding food and drinks policies. Now, this is something I already spoke on when somebody commented the other day. The food and drinks policies, everybody should by now be aware, and it's nothing to do with this venue. Licensed premises, there are certain laws around them, right? Everybody knows you can't take alcohol into a pub, right? Licensed premises are only permitted to sell things, only permitted to for people to consume things that were purchased on the premises. They have to adhere to the law. We have to adhere to their rules there. They entirely set it, and when we do vet venues, we always look at these conditions. Now, we've been there for 2 years without incident. The first year they were caught off guard and ran out of food. Okay, fair enough. Second year they knew what they were doing, so we asked them to repeat the food, which was generally received very well. It's certainly cheaper than match days, and it's a lot cheaper than major conventions where you've got dodgy food trucks serving poor hygiene food. The selection's not huge, but there's a lot of people to serve, and things like burger meals and hot dog meals and things like that are generally what you expect to see at these things, and a £5 for that is not too much to ask. I've been to conventions in the past where I've been charged £5 for a bottle of Coke, where you've been charged £10 for a horrible goblin burger. So when people tell me that the prices are unreasonable, I don't know what kind of events you've been going to, but it certainly can't be any of the major ones, because as prices go, the massive amounts of feedback is that it's extremely fair. The quality is medium, you know. I would agree. It's pretty much average. but it's tolerable. And if you don't want to eat on the premises, that's fine. But what we do take exception to is, you should know by now that if you went to a concert or anywhere or a concert or a stadium or a sports ground, anywhere like that, you're not permitted to take food and drink in. It's pretty standard policy across the country. It might not be followed to the T, and to what level they enforce it is entirely up to them. But the stadiums and things like that are getting stricter. It's nothing to do with us. If it was up to us, it'd be fine if you came and did what you did. If you want to bring in your child a bottle of pop, you've got special dietary conditions when you bring in your own water, all that kind of thing is absolutely fine by us. Now, but the venues themselves, they set their own policies. We don't have any control over it, and it all depends on their staffing. We have been made aware there were a couple of issues with venue staff. It's certainly not event staff, and there was an incident where venue staff pointed the finger that we had put restrictions in place. We don't, and we allow people all the freedoms we can. However, we would expect that if you turn up, you're supporting the venue by buying their food and drink. And if you don't want their food and drink, you don't have to have it. You literally go just off site. There was McDonald's, there was a Morrison's, the supermarkets, there's garages. You can go and buy your food and you can go and meet elsewhere. But you've also got to look at the fact, if you were to bring them back and meet them on site, you're leaving your rubbish behind for the venue to clear up, and we don't think that's fair. Nobody should expect that. Any other licensed premises, we do support the venue in their policy on that fact. There were a few slightly overhanded security, and I know that there was talk of people confiscating food, saying that we wouldn't allow people to even bring things like water in. That's ridiculous. We would never do that. We did take exception to that, but we only found out about this immediately after the event. I've got a list of things to take up with the venue, and we do take everything you say very seriously. So I will be personally addressing all this. I have to take them up on a few things anyway, and I will address any concerns that you've got regarding that. I have read all your comments, and now I'm in full possession of the facts. I will address those things, but please, it's been in our terms and conditions and our frequently asked questions since day one. The reason we don't specify for each event is because it's not only common knowledge, it's pretty much policy of 99% of premises in this country. And if you don't know, very much like if you stop by the police, it's all well and good saying, I don't know, my light was out. It's still against the rules if you've got a broken, you've got a broken brake light. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing when it comes to these. Ignorance is not an excuse. It's certainly there as you enter the premises. There are signs saying no food or drink inside. We'd ask you to respect that and just be adult about it, and respect the fact that that's generally going to be the policy. If you're unsure about anything, you should ask before you come. Please don't bring food and drink to licensed premises. It's just not on. But we will take any of your complaints up with the venue themselves. With regard to the staffing, somebody made a point. We've got most of our event staff are extremely helpful. Somebody passed comment that machines were turned off without prompting at one point. There was a sign up saying that the certain things had to turn off early. That was due to the bottleneck with our logistics and getting things out of the premises. We were open till 4 o'clock, but certain things have to be powered down early to allow machines to cool down and things like that. One of the big things about vintage machines and things like that is they're very hard to look after. So we apologise that we have to do that, but we have to get things on the road immediately after an event. A couple of people said they should have had fair warning. That's fair enough. We will address that with a certain exhibitor that was doing that, and we will take care of that. We'll bear that in mind for next time. Signposting and general directions, I think we gave most of it in mentions prior to the event, so I think most of that is covered. The alcohol is fairly priced. The ticket prices, I think, were addressed pretty fairly. We didn't have any major issues admitting people, so we know that went smoothly. And as far as crowd flow goes, last year we know it got extremely packed and it became a little uncomfortable to start with. This time we spread people out a lot more, and although it was extremely busy, especially on Saturday, everybody did spread out, and once the talk started, it tends to ease off a little bit. So nobody was seriously uncomfortable there. We made all the aisles wide enough for disabled visitors, people with pushchairs and things like that, and hopefully you all got around comfortably. I suppose the next thing was entertainment. Everybody well received the competitions again. We've tried to mix it up by adding in a few more elements. A couple of comments were made regarding the music entertainment, the chiptune entertainment that was on stage in the 80s hall. We did this as a little bit of ambience because we experimented last year and people generally favoured the music. The acoustics of each hall differs slightly and we can't always be around to control it. A couple of people said the music was too loud, but an equal number of people actually told us they really enjoyed chiptune music, and as loud as it may have been, some people, once actually sat down and started playing games and they got into it, they could hear the music. They said it enhanced the experience for them. It wasn't overwhelming. It may have been a shock at times when it cut in and out. However, we will look at this for next time. A lot of people do like the chiptune entertainment, so we're going to try and rethink that and maybe do it again next time. But I'm sure you'll agree the tunes themselves were pretty favourable on the whole. And DJ Echo, who hosted on there for the majority of it, he's a friend of the show. He's been to a few now, and people do enjoy the Amiga-based mixes and things that he does. And a lot of it was very apt for the Generation X theme of the show. So we'll rethink that, and we'll try and tweak it a little bit for next time. Regarding the other entertainment, Games Animal TV, we dedicated an entire area to this. We had a few problems with filming Games Animal TV, in that it didn't entirely go according to plan. However, the Games Animal TV project is going ahead well. We did do some great recording of what we did, and due to a little bit of TV magic, we're going to put that together in such a way that's very presentable for you. And for those of you that did miss it, because of like slightly lower staffing on that front, we will cut it all together and you will get to see the results of that hopefully by summertime. Still some features being filmed for that. A lot of footage was actually being recorded in secret around the event, so you'll see some things that went on, but the final tick in the box for that one was what we did on Sunday morning. It was a little bit of unexpected filming up on the main stage in the 90s hall, which a lot of you got to see, and I'll quickly throw in a short cut of that after this section to show you what was going on with that. The rest of it you're going to have to wait and see to find out what happened. But I just want to thank Kev Bayliss for taking part in one of the developer challenges that was going on down there. We recorded some great footage, and you'll see what the result was very soon. Thinking about the exhibits, it's a challenge every year to bring you something fresh with regards to retro. Retro, by its very definition, is old. It's all about nostalgia, but if you don't mix it up a little bit, the people who come regularly, they're going to get a little bit bored. Now, we try very hard to mix it up. Having so much more space this year gave us a lot more scope to do things we wanted to do in the past and couldn't do because we just couldn't afford the floor space. We use every nook and cranny of an event that we do. Some people comment on the layout and say that it's very unorthodox. It certainly is, and I will take full responsibility for that because I plan it every time. What it is, when you're paying for a venue, you want to use every available corner to bring the most to people. So we will squeeze in the extra trader here and there. We'll drop in an extra table of consoles. We will use every corner we can, and on the whole, I think we've got a perfect balance this time. We do get let down with certain things, which means we have to shuffle things around a little. Arcade machines are a big culprit for this. They tend to break down with alarming frequency. The limitations on the list this time meant we had to sacrifice, I think it was 10 or 15 machines from our original lineup because the weight and the size and the extra load and things like that would have been too much of a strain. But I think we still managed to get the balance right. We had our 4 sections. We had our Japanese arcade, we had our Nintendo arcade, we had our Golden Age arcade and our Silver Age arcade. The arcades, I think everyone would agree, on the whole, were extremely favourable. There was only 2 out the entire weekend, which unfortunately went down the minute we arrived and we couldn't fix them. Not a lot we can do about that. That's just the nature of the beast. But they stayed running all weekend and they were the least of our concerns over the entire weekend. We had some classics there. We had machines that had never been seen at events before. Personal favourite of mine was 720 Degrees, a skateboarding game. You will never see that at an event. But we had Midway Fighters, we had the classics, we had, you know, Galaxian, Pac-Man. John Stoodley was in there attempting his perfect Pac-Man score again, just as a personal thing for him to do. But you know, we're going to try and incorporate more things. We had shooting games back in there, we had driving games back in there, and I think on the whole everyone really enjoyed the arcade machines. I want to personally thank Alex Crowley, Roger Cantor, Martin Laws, Dave Flynn, Rich, and whoever else. There was a lot of people from the arcade collecting community who donate the machines. Some of them are extremely high value. I mean, Sky Skipper is one of a kind project. Nintendo Sheriff is extremely rare. There's very old machines like Atari Video Pinball, which is a superb machine. But even down to such things as the custom projects and your typical jammer machines, these belong to people that are very high value. The pinball selection was great. People loved the machines. There was a couple of comments. People would like to see more pinball. We would too, but I just need to make clear that getting pinballs is a little bit harder. There aren't many organisations that supply them en masse, and the ones that do aren't really accessible to us from a geographical perspective. We are working on it to get a few more from our current pinball supplier, and we may rejiggle things if we do another event to try and incorporate some more, because we want to see some more. But they are several £1,000s higher value than a typical arcade machine, and they do take up a lot of floor space, so you can understand why we try to keep their area to a minimum and just give people that taste, because we have to make room for so much else. The consoles and everything this time, we spread out a little bit more to make it more comfortable. Consoles are generally a multiplayer affair, whereas computers tend to be single player joystick affairs. So we try to create a tighter space for the computers, even though they take up more table space, and slightly looser space for the consoles this time. That really worked. A lot of people loved the multiplayer Mario Kart. A lot of people loved the multiplayer light gun games and the racing games and things like that, the PC link-ups. So hopefully you all really enjoyed those. And it was great to get the micros and things like that back out this time. The Spectrum Next showcase, we managed to get quite a few of the new running demos and fully playable games on there, thanks to Jim Bagley, Simon Butler, and Mike Daly for those. Also Adrian Cummings, who provided us with some copies of Dungeonette to give away, which went into our charity raffle in the end. I want to thank Chris Parsons for the Vector Republic's Vectorcade section. The Vectrexes were very, very popular. Retro Gaming Roundup for their Retro Gaming Lounge, like I say, DJ Echo for the music, Southwest Amiga Group for their fantastic section of Commodore related stuff, as well as other things like Acorn Systems, and we even had a repair station going there, which was quite handy. The indie game developers, the indie gaming section was really popular this time, and I'm hoping to expand on that next time. That they got a lot of play, and even though we focus on retro systems, retro inspired games tends to be what indie gamers are all about, and I'm going to try and increase that space next time. And if you are an indie developer, get in touch early and we'll see if we can allocate you a free table to demonstrate your machine. We understand you're going to make money on your things eventually when they're produced, or you may or may not, it may be a personal project, but if you do want to, then get in touch and we will see if we can allocate you a space. We just want things for people to play, and we believe that indie gamers should be supported in creating games the likes of which we like to play. So get in touch if you've got a project. If you know anyone that's doing it, please get them to get in touch as well. I'm sure there's probably a few areas that were put out that I will forget. The cosplayers had a little bit of a presence this time, which was nice. We're hoping to build on that for next time. So I just want to thank the Cosplay Collective for trying to get something together for us there. We will be working on improving a lot of those areas. One of the things we think we got perfectly right this time was the guest talks. I want to thank all of our special guests this time for coming to that. It was our biggest guest panel appearances ever. We had some exclusives, some people you'd seen before, and the good thing about our events is that our guests come along and they don't just turn up for their talk and go home. They will stay, they will mingle, they will sign things. I'm just going to run down the list here. Dave Perry, I want to say a massive thank you to. We're currently working with Dave and producing Games Animal TV, which is, I think, is going to be really big amongst gamers of a certain age who remember the days of Games Master and Games World. The final cut of that will come soon, and like I say, we filmed some great things for that. The other features will be put with it, and we'll get the final cut of that out by the summer. John Ramiro, it was great to have John back. He first with us in 2014. Came back again this time, a little bit of signing, a little bit more interaction with people this time, and yeah, he certainly enjoyed his time there. We didn't in the end get to have him play people at Doom time and signings and the timings of his talks and everything, it just really didn't allow for it, unfortunately. It's one of those things that doesn't always work out like we say, but everybody enjoyed meeting him, which was fantastic. And of course his wife Brenda was there supporting him, and it was great to see them there, and I just want to thank them for that. We also had Roger Keane, Olive Frey, Nick Roberts, Robin Hogg all turn up for the Newsfield talk. Obviously some of these guys I've met before, some of them I didn't get a chance to meet this time. That's just one of the downsides of being an organiser. You don't always get to enjoy the fruits of your own efforts, but they are great friends of the event. And of course Chris Wilkins being involved in that with I'm going to forget his name off the top of my head, sorry, I've had a long weekend. Jeremy for coming along and enjoying the session and helping us get that together. The Commodore panel was brilliant. It was great to finally meet David Pleasance, and it was good because a lot of the people I'm reading out on this list got to add to the guest roll call on the front of my own arcade machine, which I'll be showing shortly, and adding to an extremely long list of esteemed guests that we've had at Revival in the past. A total pleasure to meet. I missed Anthony Ball sadly, but there were other people there like Colin Porch, Archie McLean I've met before, Jim Bagley was there, Mike Daly, Rich Stevenson I unfortunately missed. Mr Butler was there for 2 of the talks, and holding us up as per usual. But I love Simon to bits. I think he's a fantastic bloke, and if you've ever spoken to him, he could tell you some stories. He's a great chap. Kev Bayliss did us an absolute solid on this one. Rare return in full force this time. We missed Chris Seaver last year due to an illness, and he returned this year with his colleague at Gory Detail, Sean Pyle. We had Chris Marlowe return, and Intel this time with some of the newer members of Playtonic, which mostly consist of ex-Rare developers, and obviously they've been working on new projects which are very much retro inspired, and being a local developing company anyway, where Rare was in Aspre de la Zouch, they very much support the local scene, and they absolutely love our event. I've been told by Kev, I've been told by Chris, both the Chris's, David Wise was there this time. They all really enjoy the event. They like the format of it, and they like how friendly everything is, and hopefully they will continue to return and support our events. So you may get another chance to meet those guys if you haven't done before. Personal heroes of mine, I'm a big fan of the Rare era with Nintendo. Killer Instinct, of course, being my favourite game, and luckily for me, I did actually get to face off against Kev briefly this time on my own Killer Instinct arcade machine, which he kindly signed for me, and that was a big honour for me. That was a big personal moment for me. But there's also other people there like Hamish Lockwood, like I say, David Wise was there, and there was a couple of other names which I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was Jen Restermeyer, Dan Murdoch I believe was there as well. And you'll see the talks anyway when Retro Asylum get those up. Retro Asylum of course did us extremely proud with the talks. They managed to dig up some additional guests which really made it special. We had Ian Lee this time from Thumb Bandits, joining Mr Biffo on a talk. We had Julian Gollop turn up, who was extremely popular with fans of the strategy game series. And who else did we have? I'm just going down my list here. Shahid Ahmed. I didn't even get to see Shahid, unfortunately, and I kicked myself that I really wanted to be there for his talk, but unfortunately I was tied up filming Games Animal TV, and I think around the time Shahid was on, I was rolling around on the floor in agony with a broken ankle. So hopefully I'll get a chance to pick it up with him and thank him personally. But as far as the guests and everything goes, Paul, Dean, Chris and Steve all did fantastic job on that, as well as Mike James sitting in for some of the talks on the Sunday, and also for the contributions of Chris Wilkins. Chris Wilkins, of course, started Revival with me, and he did me proud this time in digging up a few extra names like Archer and people who we had before, who he's personal friends with. Of course, getting John Ramiro along to take part and really make a special Talks Arena this year, which was filled from the start of the weekend till the end. You could have spent your entire days in the Talks Arena and saw nothing else. Over 30 guests this time, which is a massive amount, and some of those weren't even taking part in the talks, you know. And I just want to say happy birthday to Dave Perry, who will be turning the ripe age of 52 today, as it happens. So happy birthday, Dave. I'll be in touch and to say happy birthday and everything a little bit later on. Okay, so the traders, I think, had some fantastic wares on sale this time. Like I say, there was a massive amount of games on sale, massive amount of systems, as well as a load of other things in the mix. We saw developer systems, we saw a huge variety of things. One thing we always do at our events is try and keep traders retro gaming focused, and I think you would agree, as diverse as some of those were, they were all focused on retro games, whether they be selling games, whether they be selling ornaments or some kind of home decoration or whatever. They were all very retro gaming focused, and people know the kind of traders we get now. We get some traders you won't see at other events. You'll get some traders you'll always see at other events, but they do like coming to our event, and people are vying for pitches at our event. We will never be a market format. That's not what Revival's about. We may visit the idea of doing a market at some point. However, we think the balance, what makes Revival special is that it's a game, it's an event celebrating the games. We want you to come along and play the games. We want people to bring their games for other people to play. We want people to sit and have beers and enjoy it all. And I think if we make it a market format, it will break what we are. So we're trying to keep the balance of traders versus exhibits about 50-50. Traders, of course, are essential for paying for these events until the ticket sales come in. And so they are a necessity, and we like having as many traders as we can. But we won't go anything more on that side at the expense of losing exhibits. So it will always be about 50-50, but we had nearly 30 trade pitches this time. That's the most we've ever had. And if you couldn't find something you liked amongst that lot, you're either being too picky or you're being too tight. So I'm sure everybody went home with something collectible. They all contributed to our goodie bags for the people who jumped and took advantage of the first 100 orders. So if you are going to come next year, get in on the early orders, get a membership card, get involved in those things, those perks and those advantages. We're trying to get everyone, trying to get that little bit extra to let you have. The traders will get in on it and support it as long as you support us and you support the event. There were some great things in the goodie bags. There's still a few uncollected, so check your emails, and if you had an email which said you're entitled to a goodie bag but you couldn't make it, get in touch and I will see if we can get them across to you, either at an event soon or through the post. There are a lot of traders who are thanking us personally. I want to thank our sponsors. I mean, we had quite a few sponsors this time. Of course, we had the mighty Arcade Club. They did us really proud, providing us with the best arcade machines this time. Lee Cunningham of Sawthorne Retro Games, he's one of the most renowned traders on the scene. His import stuff is second to none. His shop is fantastic. Go and check Lee out. Retro GT, I've already mentioned, got a t-shirt off them. Lawrence is a fantastic creator of clothing, and they have bags and caps and badges and everything like that, and they are the highest quality of anything I've seen, and we will always welcome him back. Definitely check out Retro GT. Fusion Retro Books, of course, Chris Wilkins, my former partner on Revival, he's doing extremely well with his books, and he's very well connected. If you want a chance to get in on projects where you've got a chance of meeting, speaking, getting things signed by developers, he's the best man to speak to. His books are fantastic editorial pieces, and if you haven't got any of them, I suggest you check out Fusion Retro Books now and have a look at everything from the first book being the Ocean, Story of Ocean, right up to the newest projects that I know he's got in the pipeline. I'm not going to mention any of them on here because I'll wait for him to tell you himself, but he's got some brilliant projects in the pipeline. I'm sure it'll be coming up soon. We also had a little bit of sponsorship from Vintage Gamer, the local boys Nick and the guys who you saw by the stage. Nick, of course, one of our best vendors since day one. He's always cutting deals. He digs up things you wouldn't believe. He had some immensely vintage systems for sale at the event, and I'm sure a lot of you got a really good deal out of him anyway. Nick is a fantastic guy, and if you ever get a chance to go by his shop in Halesowen, I suggest you do it, because he's one of the best retro gaming traders in the country. On that subject, we did have plenty of support as well from other local traders. We had support from Jason Nichols of Get Gaming, Ant Harper, Retro Gear, Dana Meddings, you know, all the local boys like that. They always come to our events and bring things you don't see at every event. Of course, Ant with his Spectrum focus, you know, it's good to see micro traders out there because there aren't many left. But as well as that, I'll just go down my list here and break them all down for you. Of course, we had Tibber's Workshop, Kirsty doing her thing with the models. She does some fantastic things. I hope you went and bought something from her and supported her. Rastamania, who've restructured themselves. Pete and his friends make the trip over from Belgium for this event. So anybody out there who complains that coming to Revival is too far, you've got no excuses. This man makes a trip from Belgium every year to come to our event. And he provides arcade parts and modified pie systems and things like that. He's moving into console parts and that as well. He's an absolutely great bloke as well, Pete is. And like I say, he comes over here, he buys boards from the arcade collectors, he supplies boards to the arcade collectors. Definitely worth checking out. We had Flashback Gaming, that was Andy and Carl. Those guys have been here, I think, since year one as well. They've always got some great stuff. Now, Andy Slater, of course, he was one of our Games Animal champions for Games Animal TV. He took on all comers on Sunday morning. He was always scheduled to be part of the show anyway, and we've slightly changed things around for it, but he is a Street Fighter master, and if you saw the action that he had going on stage against some real pro players, people I happen to know are very, very good players, you'll see he's on another level, and he trounced everybody who took him on. We saw him beat 30 people in a row on Saturday, and we saw him beat a further 6 live on stage on a huge screen in front of everybody. And you know, he's a fantastic player, and I want to thank him personally for getting involved in that. While I'm on the subject, I want to thank our other 2 Games Animal champions who will also feature in the show. We've got Aaron Davis and we've got Spencer Guest, and you'll get to see exactly how they feature in it. But that they really made Games Animal something special. But again, I'm digressing. So getting back to the traders, Alan's Japan Retro Gaming, top bloke. Glad you tried our event for the first time. Every Bit Gaming, Nathan, it was great to see you back. Ken's, it was great to see you come along and show some of your indie developed titles there for the older systems. Fantasia Designs, yes, I like yours. I really like yours. So I wish I'd have picked something up, but I didn't get much opportunity to. I hope people check them out. They were doing custom vinyl based artwork, which was really cool. They were also doing some retro inspired clocks and other ornaments and things like that. They were really cool. Rachel was delivering some cosplay stuff. We also had White Raven Games, first time trader. They found it nervous but did extremely well. Press Start Gaming, Chris Richardson, of course, he had a few dev systems on his stall, so definitely worth a mention, checking it out. Super Retro Brothers, I'm glad they really enjoyed the event. Retro Hunters, again, first time here for them. Game Over Gaming, Soul Funk doing the retro inspired artwork. Retro Plushy Games, of course, another event staple. They've got some of the best preserved and best, most impressive stalls out there. Good to see them there. Ginger Colin, one of our indie game developers, had a little bit of a stall going on at the side. Pixel Punk as well also had the stall down by the lower bar near the indie gaming section. And from what I understand, all of our traders did extremely well. And I want to thank them all for coming along and supporting the event and throwing a little bit of sponsorship our way. If you want to get spots in for future events, I'll say it now. If you've been before, you will get some more favouritism next time round. Anybody who wants to get involved, by all means, contact us and I'll inform you when our next event's coming up. We like to get everything really sorted out well in advance, so please get in contact early. If you contact us 3 months before an event, you'll find that all those trade pitches are long gone. So contact us in plenty of time and we will see what we can work out for you. So I guess now we're just moving on to the final round of thanks, and the final round of thanks go to the people who make all this happen. These are the exhibitors, these are the staff, these are the contributors, these are the people who just turn up and offer a bit of graft, you know, come up and move arcade machines around all day for 4 days solid to make everything happen. The majority of the staff obviously formed by myself and my family, with the help of friends and things like that. We've got our fixed team I want to thank first. That is the likes of Simon Hardy, of course, my second right-hand man. Does he have me 3 arms? I don't know. But my second right-hand man, Simon Hardy, obviously pairing up with my brother to be able to look over the rooms and oversee everything in the event that I'm not present. And they certainly did that this time when I was incapacitated. We've also got Duncan Hawking, we've got Duncan Woodward, we've got Gareth and Graham Kennelly, we've got Paul Little, who unfortunately had to miss it. Big Vinny, Aaron, Jenny, of course, obviously my local help. Aaron and Jenny have been indispensable this time. Spencer and Sarah, always great to have them there. They come quite a distance from Sheffield, and they always provide equipment and take part in things and make it really special. Loz and Bob, the Retro Lords, master of ceremonies on the stage, always taking care of things on the competitions front. Wouldn't be an event without those guys on stage, and I wouldn't dream of doing it without them. My main man Michael Lees comes all the way down from Scotland bringing arcade machines for you to enjoy, and it was great having you come along and stay with us this time. Of course, the guys on the arcade front I've already mentioned, Alex, Roger, Martin, Dave, you know, you guys did really well putting everything together, as well as our extra contributors, Jonathan, Shane, Rich, of course. Thank you for staying back at the end. I want to thank Rich Pemberton, I think it was, provided the Virtual Boy link up with Street Fighter, which I sadly didn't get to have a go on. Really sucks that I didn't do that. Rich Tewksbury and Gavin Pate, I want to thank those separately. They were trading on the floor, but Rich has been a big help in providing equipment since day one, and his retro dirt stall, I know a lot of you really took advantage of that, and he will be back again year on year, I'm sure, to provide the best in the cheapest crap for you to buy, which everybody absolutely eats up every time. He provided us with equipment and support this time, and we will be going and taking arcade machines to his event in 3 weeks' time. So I highly suggest you get yourself along to Leicester Comic Con in 3 weeks' time and see what they're doing over there on the flip side of these cult interests. I also want to thank my extended family, Lee and Sally, for coming along. I want to thank Kevin Moss, Stephen Day, Ryan, Blake, Garen. I want to thank Ross for coming and filming Games Animal TV. Obviously, Steve Smith, you were invaluable to me that day, mate. As well as, of course, Barry and his kids from the Retro Shed for coming along and filling in where Ross couldn't with the filming and things like that, and helping with the production. Obviously, Morv and Rich Firth, I know you guys were helping out a lot. You did a lot of running about for us. The guys from Southwest Amiga Group, Dave Rowland, Zeb Elwood, you guys always do us proud on that front. I'm sure there's names I'm missing off. I do apologise. I've got a list here of 246 names who've helped out, and I've probably still missed people. John Studley again, Chris Parsons, Chris Binary Star up on stage. We've got Jim with his Ice Cold Beer clone. We've got Fraser, we've got Rich Gregory, we've got Liam Fretwell up on stage, AD and the British IBM, DJ Echo, of course, Jeffrey up on stage. There's so many people on this list. I'm probably missing people off left, right and centre. Mr Paget and the boys, of course, for sorting out the pinball. Every single one of these people works really hard to make this happen, and with myself, I depend a lot on my wife, Beck. Everybody met Beck. She's the lady on reception every year, and she looks after me as well as the entire event. So without her support, I wouldn't be able to keep these things running. So you've got a lot to thank her for. And of course, I just want to thank you guys, the visitors. Without the visitors, without you guys coming every year and supporting the event, we wouldn't be able to keep doing it. We wouldn't be able to keep doing what we're doing. It's been a long road to get to this point, and even at this point, you know, we have people turning up kind of out of the blue, you know, to come along. Guys like Darren, you came along, you're a total beefcake, mate. You threw machines around like there was no tomorrow. You know, we're getting more people on the media front pushing things around, like the guys from Tenpence Arcade podcast. retro gaming roundup. You know, guys like Drisk and Paul Monaghan pushing it in every angle they can to get people along to these events. I'm being sincere when I say I thank everybody for their contributions to it, and I thank the visitors for coming along and supporting it year on year. If you keep buying tickets, we will keep making it happen. There's going to be a long thinking period now as to the next move we go. I do want to continue doing the events, but I have to take some time off and look after my health. Once I've done that, we will revisit everything and we'll see how 2019 looks. But the feedback is positive and there's a lot of ideas. Games Animal TV we're going to be pushing and hoping to incorporate into that, and maybe it's going to be more than just a special. We've also been teaming up with a lot of other independent event organisers, and hopefully we can get our heads together to put something together really special. In the meantime, if you want to check out another fantastic event with some proper retro heads at the helm, I suggest you check out the free play event this September. I believe it's the 15th and 16th of September up in Manchester. A lot of the guys involved in that have been on the scene for a long time, including Steve Smith and Andy Palmer, who supported us from day one, and they will be on hand to take care of you and see you through that one. That event will have the best arcades, a fantastic amount of retro, and they will do what we don't do, which is mixing a bit more of the modern, which should be cool for you. So anybody at the back end of summer looking to go to a top end event, it's not far to Manchester. I would encourage anybody, I don't care where you are in the country, to go along and check that out. Sadly, I personally won't be there because I have other event commitments to do, but they've always supported us, and I encourage you to support them because I know it will be a good event. And hopefully, shortly after Christmas, we will be back in touch. We'll be back online and we'll be telling you what our plans are for 2019. In the meantime, take a look at the footage if you missed anything. The videos are coming up from Retro Asylum very shortly, I would imagine, for any of the talks that you missed, which I'll be watching myself. And before long, I suppose, we'll be talking about what our next move is going to be. So, till then, keep it retro.